Hey everyone, it's Zach, and today I want to talk about something that we kind of found as confirmed this week, where news coverage and some content creators got access to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for an hour to play the game and ask questions to Nintendo reps. The one thing I really want to talk about is something that a lot of the community was split on the case, and that is the stab. So in this video, I will mention something that involves a leaker, but it really won't talk about leaks. And when I talk about Pokemon that are going to benefit from this a lot, I'm going to only refer to Hisuian Pokemon, which could come to the game, but we're not sure if there's going to be any limitations on that, and Pokemon that's been confirmed so far. So I won't be talking about any leaked Pokemon. So if you're worried about that, you can stay here, because this is all but confirmed now. By Philly Beats You asked about Terastallization, and the Nintendo rep told him that the Pokemon will keep their old stabs as well as gaining a new one when they change types. So this is something that a lot of the community thought that they would lose access to those previous stabs. Some people in the community just assumed that they would gain a new stab and change typing. I was in the first half where I thought they were going to lose the stab, but it's basically Joe Merrick, webmaster of Serebii, basically thought that it was always going to be that way. Well, they'll gain stabs, but it was asked by Philly Beats You, which the Nintendo rep said no, they're going to have their old stabs too, and that's basically been confirmed by Riddler Coup. So he said, yeah, no, 3 stabs. So this is crazy that Pokemon are going to get access to anywhere between 2 to 3 stab moves when they Terastallize. So this could add a lot of dynamic play to a lot of different Pokemon. And this can make some Pokemon a whole lot better, because they can change typing as a defensive measure, gain a new stab, and also keep their old stabs. So they'll still be able to hit with their previous move sets just as hard. So I was looking through the list to see what kind of abilities this would talk about and this would benefit. And the first one you got to think of is Adaptability. Now, Adaptability is an ability that turns stab from 1.5 to 2. And honestly, I don't know if they're going to tweak this, because I do think, if you watched my previous videos earlier in the week, that I think stab is going to change to the Pokemon Legends Arceus 1.25. So maybe Adaptability will bring it back up to 1.5. But the Pokemon you see is Porygon Z is a big one. Dragalge is a really slow one, a real good Trick Room mon. Crawdon is pretty good with Adaptability, and also the Basculin line and Basculegion. Basculegion is one of those mons that do get Adaptability, where stab becomes boosted, and it already has 2 really good stabs in Water and Ghost, and it has, I don't know exactly what the move pool is or what the move pool will be when you transfer one to Pokemon Legends Arceus, but that's definitely going to be one of those ones that is going to benefit from a defensive type change and maybe a new stab. Porygon Z as well. Porygon Z has not been confirmed for the game, neither has Basculegion, but we've seen Hisuian Pokemon in the game, so you would have to think that they're going to allow all the Pokemon, Hisuian Pokemon from Pokemon Legends Arceus in, whether it's through transfer or there's some way to catch it. Porygon Z is another one that takes advantage from Adaptability. You can change the typing, like Porygon Z gets Shadow Ball, so you can get Stab Shadow Ball now with Adaptability. You can get, your usual Hyper Beam. You could go Electric. Electric has not a lot of weaknesses. And Thunderbolt. There's Ice Beam to take care of Lando. So Porygon Z is going to be a very dynamic Pokemon, being able to change types to get an advantage. And with its move pool, it could really surprise you on what types it changes to, because defensively speaking, Ghost and Electric are very decent. Defensively, Ice, not so much. So I could see them not taking the Stab Ice Beam, but a Stab Shadow Ball from a Porygon Z with a 135 special attack is dangerous. Basket Legion, this is the male one. What is the female? The female has 100 special attack, while the male has 80. So physically attacking, you want the male. Like special attacking, you want the female. So keep an eye out for that. But those Pokemon are really going to take advantage with an additional stab with adaptability. There is also Pixelate and Refrigerate. Now, Refrigerate isn't the best ability, but they get stab with a 30% boost with their ability. So being able to keep that stab, like Refrigerate is only on Aurorus. So what Refrigerate does is normal type moves get a 20% power boost, and I believe they also get stab. I think that's the way it works with Sylveon. Sylveon has Pixelate giving a 30% boost to normal moves, and it becomes fairy type, so they get the stab on top of the power boost. So normal type moves are going to do a whole lot. Normal type moves from Aurorus are going to be ice type and do a whole lot. And then with Aurorus, you can change to a more defensive typing like steel type, or I mean even fire type if it has a fire type move to take advantage of. And then you have Terra Blast, so you really don't even need to worry about having a move already in your move pool to take advantage of it. I could be wrong though. Let me know in the comments down below. Does Pixelate and Refrigerate, does that give you stab because they're changing to the types? Because these are the only two mons that have an ability like this. Besides like Mega Evolutions, there's Aerolate, but those are just on Mega Pokemon. The next one is Terrain. So we all know how dangerous Rillaboom is. What makes Rillaboom really dangerous is it gets a boost on its grass type moves with Grassy Surge, bringing up grassy terrain. It brings recovery onto the field, and then it also got Grassy Glide, which is a move that gives a +1 priority. Now without the stab, this move isn't hitting super hard, but when you get the boost from grassy terrain and then you get the stab boost, that's pretty good. You can change typing on Rillaboom to play more defensively and still take advantage of the grassy terrain and the Grassy Glide priority, as well as the grass type stab with the way that the stab is going to be in Scarlet and Violet. So other terrain Pokemon, there is Pincurchin. Pincurchin has Electric Surge, which gives it the boost, and then we haven't seen any Pokemon with Psychic Terrain yet, but some mons have the terrain moves where it could set the terrain manually, but usually in VGC, when you're using terrains, you want them set automatically on switch-in, so you can immediately take advantage of it and not have to set it up. So you can change Pincurchin's type to something that's more beneficial or more counterplay to taking it out, and you still get the benefit of, you know, Discharge and Rising Voltage and getting those stab boost while changing the type. These are abilities that boost a certain type's move, and they're not necessary to have stab, but they all help with stab. You know, getting that stab boost and then the ability boost is really beneficial. One mon we see do this is Transistor with Regieleki. Transistor adds a 1.5 multiplier, so you get stab and a 1.5 multiplier. Now with Regieleki, you can change the type and still maintain that heavy hitting electric power. The same thing goes with Dragon's Maw. And Regidrago. Regidrago also gets a 1.5 boost on its dragon attacks, and you can change the typing on this now. It doesn't have to be a dragon type. Heck, if you get a fairy type or steel type Regidrago for Terastallization, that would be really good. Does it get a steel type move? These mons, their move pools are very weak, so we'll have to see if it changes the move pool. But you could do fire. Fire is resistant to fairy, but fairy is also resistant to fire, I believe. But these mons are going to really appreciate being able to change their typing because they have certain counterplays like Landers, for example, for Regieleki, and any fairy for Drago. So being able to change types and still get access to stab is going to be really good for these mons. And another one I was thinking of, and this isn't confirmed yet, but Steelworker. Steelworker is an exclusive move on Dhelmise, and Dhelmise technically already had 3 stabs. So what Steelworker does is this Pokemon's offensive stat is multiplied by 1.5 when using Steel type moves. So it already had stab on Ghost, it had stab on Grass, it had stab on Steel type basically. Now, with the move pool, you could switch if you're facing a Dark type, or if Dark type is a big counter to Dhelmise, you can become a Fighting type and get stab on Brick Break, get stab on Body Press. You could, if you wanted to run special, I don't know why you would do that, but you can get stab on Water. Like, this is really cool for a Pokemon like Dhelmise, because Dhelmise, because of its typing and its ability, it already basically had 3 stabs to begin with. So Dhelmise is a Pokemon that like you could Terastallize to a different type other than Steel, Ghost, or Grass and get 4 stab moves out of it. So a really bulky, maybe an Assault Vest it to take advantage of the 4 moves. Dhelmise would be really good. You could go really hard with Poltergeist, Anchor Shot, which is its signature Steel move, which prevents the target from switching out. You could do Brick Break to counter Dark types, or you could do Liquidation. You can do Water type to deal with the fire, but I think a Dark type would probably be more dangerous to Dhelmise than a Fire type. And then you can also add a Grass move like Power Whip. So you could get 4 stab moves on Dhelmise and have it Assault Vested and just tank a lot of hits and deal a lot of damage, because it's got a pretty good physical attack stat. The only thing that hurts is the speed, so you would want this as like a Trick Room mon. So yeah, you could get it to like 45 speed. With a negative speed nature, you can get it down to 40. It's still going to be outsped by Torkoal, but based on when Terastallization happens, if it happens at the beginning of the turn, and doesn't matter the typing, you can switch to the Water type and take any move from Torkoal really well. So that could be a good counterplay against Trick Room Torkoal teams, to have a Dhelmise and then get a Liquidation, a stab Liquidation off on a Torkoal. It's not going to do as much damage in the sun, but you're going to switch to a type that's more defensive against Torkoal. And if you do the Assault Vest, like I was talking about, like you add 1 point into it and you're already 1.5 boost. Let's see, that's 61. So that's, you're already at a 183 special defense stat with just 1 IV investment and a sassy nature. So that's going to take Eruptions or any fire type move that Torkoal wants to bring against you really well, and you get 4 stab moves to play with if you do the Terastallization for Water. So that's going to be a really good mon if it comes to the game. Dhelmise has not been confirmed yet at all. The last ones are just abilities that give Pokemon a power boost, and like I said with Regidrago, when you add stab on top of that boost, these Pokemon can really benefit from it. The first one that comes to mind is Huge Power. Huge Power is seen in Diggerbee and Azumarill. Now Azumarill is already confirmed for the game, so you could have a Huge Power, which adds the Pokemon's attack is doubled, and Water and Fairy is already a really good combo. You can do Aqua Jet, Play Rough, but now you could add a third typing to it and give it 3 stabs to choose from. That's not only going to get a huge power boost, but you're also going to get a stab boost off of it. So does it get a Steel type move? You can do Dark, Knockoff, Iron Tail. So you could change a Fairy type to a Steel type, that will defend it from poison, that will take neutral damage from a steel type, and then you get a 100 power base move with stab and huge power. 75 accuracy is not the best, but I mean, if you can make it work. Let's see, does it get any other kind? I feel like rollout is gimmicky. Our steel roller, but you have to have terrain for that to be beneficial. So I feel like huge power Pokemon will get a big boost from having 3 stabs to access. Same thing comes to mind with an Analytic. Analytic isn't dependent on the Pokemon stab typing, but when you add that 30% boost on top of a stab boost, then it gets pretty tricky and it gets pretty powerful. Magnezone, for example, Magnezone going last with Analytic. Magnezone's a slower mon. You can get down to like 58, which, I mean, if you're not running a Trick Room, it's not that bad. It's not bad in Trick Room, but you want this mon to go last, so you want it to be bulkier. But with Analytic, you get a 30% boost, and if you retain the steel stab, the electric stab, and then you add another stab onto it, we can see that it's more of a special attacker. So it's got like discharge, you can flash cannon already. Let's see what other access to special type moves that it gets. It has a pretty meh move pool when it comes to type diversity. Yeah, so this is a mon that if you wanted to take advantage of this, you would have to do it through Terra Blast, because it really doesn't have any good coverage moves or good type diversity moves outside of that steel and electric. And another one is Shear Force. So when you hear Shear Force, you think Landorus, you think Conkeldurr. Is Conkeldurr confirmed yet? No. What about the Nido line? Braviary with Hisuian. I don't think the Hisuian one gets Shear Force. No, Cleaver gets Shear Force. So Shear Force and an extra typing will mean that it gets more boost and it could get access to more stab moves. And the one that I think of is my boy Copperajah. Now Copperajah is a Shear Force user. It is a very slow, so it has to be like a Trick Room Shear Force user. With that 35, it's speed tying Torkoals. I think it's speed tying Torkoal. Let's see. No, it's not speed tying Torkoal. Not even close. But this is what I'm talking about. You could, in a setting with Trick Room, Copperajah would be really worried about that fire type Torkoal. But with Shear Force, it gets a lot of boost. And one thing that's really good about Copperajah is that it has access to a lot of moves. So usually when I ran Torkoal, I had Play Rough. You could do High Horsepower. High Horsepower, it doesn't take advantage of Shear Force, but it was a good move in a Dynamax format. Iron Head, Play Rough, Iron Head, both take advantage of the Shear Force boost, and you can keep stab on the Iron Head. You could go Outrage. Power Whip is a move that I would use in a Dynamax format. Rock Slide, you could change to a rock type to deal with fire types. But also what Copperajah is weak to is fighting, fire, and ground. So you could always change to a fairy type and get rid of that fighting type weakness, neutralize that fire type weakness, and then you're still taking ground and fire neutral, but it's going to take it a lot better than a pure steel type. And then you can add stab play rough on top of the stab iron head that you would get with the shear force boost. So that's gonna be all. What mon do you want to see take advantage of 3 stab moves? I would love to see Dynamax in the game, because that means Dynamax could take advantage of 4 stab moves if played correctly, which would be really good. So you could guarantee that all of these moves are hitting hard. And what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea for Pokemon to keep their original stab typing? It kind of makes sense if they are going to do what I think they're going to do and lower the stab, because having 2 or 3 in general, having 3 stab boosts being 1.5 is kind of really hard to play around. Pokemon will be hitting hard. And the thing of Terastallization, if a Pokemon's changing its type, you can do it in a defensive way. And keeping the stab means that you can make a defensive play like this with Terastallization and still not lose a lot when it comes to stab, especially with these Pokemon with 2 types. You know, you trade 2 stabs for 1 stab and change your typing. You might stay around a little bit longer, but you're also not having the amount of damage input as you should. But with 3 stab types with Terastallization, that could make it a little more offensive and making defensive Terastallizations a little less risky. So I think that's a really good thing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, check out my videos where I talk about Frostbite and Drowsy, and then I talk about the potential change in the stat boost. I'm going to try to keep up to date with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet news as it comes out, and I'm going to talk about things and the questions I have to have discussions with you. So if you guys enjoy this, like and subscribe, stick around, let me know how you feel in the comments down below, and when the games come out, there will be a playthrough on my channel. But if you made it this far in the video, I want to say thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, I'm Zach, and we'll see everyone later.